taking those 2 steps back is literally going to be your secret weapon for propelling yourself forward. You have to want this for yourself. Like, you have to see this as a personal goal, your personal path. Because if you don't, you're really not going to have a good time, and you have to really get clear on your values, your passions, and the reasons that you're going about this. Hello, and welcome to the Empress podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hello, and welcome back. Another episode of the Empress podcast is here. I'm so excited to journey with you. This is the podcast where I take you on an exploration of personal growth. I am your host, Jess. Happy to be here. Okay, so let's get into it. So I'm gonna get cozy because I've been seeing some things happening. Like, where do I even begin? But what we're gonna get into as a concept today is just something I'm very familiar with, but I'm also walking quite a few clients through this. And so I thought, yeah, I should bring it to the pod, right? If it's happening in my sphere, it's happening out there too. This is the concept of taking 2 steps back and 5 leaps forward. Okay, so the concept of 2 steps back, 5 leaps forward. So you might be thinking, why would I want to take 2 steps back? I don't think that's a good idea. I'm kind of like not into that. I've been putting in a lot of effort. I don't want to take 2 steps back. I hear you. Settle in. Okay, boo? Let's get some tea. Let's get some coffee. Let's chat. I've got my cute little rose teacup. Yeah, it's not glamorous, right, to take those couple of steps back. But really, life is not all about the glitz and the glam as much as we want it to be. Sometimes it really is about the gritty, the work, the unglamorous, the unsexy, and the uncomfortable, right? And I talk a lot about this with my clients, and I'm like, you're going to have to get used to being uncomfortable. You're going to have to learn what that sense, like those little knowings of discomfort are as you're walking into these changes. Because if you start to resist this discomfort, you're going to make your world a whole lot worse. I don't want that for you. So, you've been caught up in this ego game, like for real, of constantly like looking at other people's journeys and being like, it has to look like this. And if it doesn't look like this, then people are going to judge me. Okay, I get it. I really do. But there's a lot of power in this reality check that we are about to get into. Here's an example. Okay, you're climbing a mountain. It's super steep. The path is like way crazy. Every step forward really does feel like an achievement for you, and you're just like, hell yeah, this is amazing. And then you get to this fork in the road. Option 1 is you can keep climbing this mountain. You can reach for the peak. You can, forge ahead. But this is the ego's choice right now. Because from the outside, it looks like, whoa, you're accomplishing all this. You're just so wild, taking on all this. That's amazing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually the most fulfilling for you. Like, sure, getting to the top is an accomplishment, but we're going to talk about the journey, not just the end game, okay? Option 2, the other fork in the road, you take 2 steps back. Yeah, back. It feels counterintuitive a lot of the time, and this is why we get into it in session, and we talk about why, slowing down is so important instead of just pushing. taking those 2 steps back is literally going to be your secret weapon for propelling yourself forward. Those 2 steps back, they give you an opportunity to reassess, recalibrate, and recharge. That's so important, you know? So the 5 leaps forward, they happen because you've gained clarity, okay, from your 2 steps back. You can actually leap forward. You have the energy to leap forward. We're loving this. We are loving this. You have purpose and you have intention. That is super potent when it comes to action steps. Sometimes we just take action and we don't really think about why. We don't have an intention or like a clear goal, you know? Or we're holding on to an old sense of purpose, not necessarily connected to the truest version of ourselves in this moment, right? And I want you guys to be making strides towards your long-term goals with that feeling of purpose and that sense of like, yes, I'm doing this and I'm very clear about my intention. And this happens where sometimes we just get caught up and we're so used to climbing up the mountain that we don't even realize, like, wait a minute, I have a choice. I can actually like stop. I can create this metaphorical fork in the road and maybe just reassess. So if you're a little too caught up in the facade of success, you have to put the ego in the back seat. It is not in control. You are in control. It helps you get to where you need to go, but there is a relationship you have with your ego that doesn't have to be so intense, like intense in a negative way. Embrace the power of 2 steps back, 5 leaps forward. Because like I said, not all leaps have to be grand. They don't all have to be flashy. And a lot of times when we get to that place of reevaluating, we're like, wow, I'm actually way more satisfied. I kind of enjoy this humble experience that I'm having with reorienting, so to speak, my own process of getting to the finish line. I want to dig a little bit deeper here and talk about some of the mindset shifts that you're going to need in order to really embrace this concept. So the first thing is resilience over perfection. And you need to focus on the fact that setbacks and challenges, they're really just part of the journey. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong or that, you know, you're supposed to get it right all the time. Like that's just so unrealistic, you know, like it's just so silly that we put that much pressure on ourselves. I do it though. So I'm like right there with you. If you're kind of listening and being like, oh, I'm doing that. It's fine. We all do it. When you value the process more than the outcome, you're going to have a lot more fun. Taking the 2 steps back isn't going to feel like a huge hit to your ego. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but it's not going to be something that spirals you. It's not going to be something that devastates you. And it's not going to be something that you make a lot of meaning about. Instead, you're just going to do it. And you're going to be like, yeah, I'll be all right. You know, it's like that kind of vibe because you're actually more focused on the day-to-day, the process of things and living in the experience versus just getting to the outcome and then getting the prize. You know what I mean? And then the third mindset shift is intrinsic motivation. Like you have to want this for yourself. Like you have to see this as a personal goal, your personal path. Because if you don't, you're really not going to have a good time, you know? And you have to really get clear on your values, your passions, and the reasons that you're going about this. You know, your long-term goal has to be, again, just a part of your core value system. Or otherwise you're going to kind of throw your hands up and be like, I don't even want to walk this mountain, this metaphorical mountain anymore. I'm out, you know? And you'll just drop everything and find yourself, you know, kind of bummed out. But the inner motivation is what keeps you staying persistent, and the discipline to know that, okay, you're facing challenges, your guides or spirit or whatever, life is asking you to redirect your energy. And you're like, again, this means people are going to judge me. You know, I don't want to take these steps back because they're not sexy, because I'm not going to be able to hang out with my friends, because I'm not going to be able to spend the money that I want to. I don't have anything to show for it if I take steps back, but it is temporary, because again, what you get are leaps and bounds forward. We have to stop basing our lives off of the highlight reels of everyone else. You guys, I want to talk about the steps back that I've taken in my own life in order to propel myself forward. I have moved to places, I've moved in with people, I had choices, but those choices didn't support my overall financial goals. They didn't support the values that I had at the time of being able to do things instead of just living to pay my rent, you know. I've taken jobs that I didn't want to take in between grad school and doing what I do now. I worked at Target, and there's literally nothing wrong with Target. Was it an ego check for me? 100%. I would cry in the fitting room sometimes because I had this idea that after I graduate, I should just be able to get a job, which is delusional, but that's fine. And I had to take some steps back. I had to redo my entire life, how much I was spending, the way I was eating, the quality of friends that I had around me. Like, I had to do an overhaul, and I had to take a lot of steps back. You guys, I literally gave up a car. Like, it got repossessed because I couldn't afford the payments on it anymore. Like, this all happened during my divorce, which was also a whole phase of my life that I had to acknowledge and take accountability for, and just, again, clean up. I had to clean up my mess in order to have what I wanted. And I really value a sense of freedom. And I really just value a sense of calm. I love calm energy. I really like being able to do simple things, you know, like go out and just have a really nice meal in a really nice environment. But for years, I couldn't do it. I was putting things on credit cards. Like, I was living a life that was okay, but it wasn't me. It didn't have that real core calm energy, you know, that I really like and appreciate now. And I haven't had a credit card in almost 7 years. So, like, it's been a while, you know, like, my journey has been a while. It's going to take some time. I'm okay with the time that it's going to take, because I'm in alignment with my core values and my vision, and I do not care what y'all have to say about it, what you think about it, what strangers think about it, randos on the internet think about it. Like, I don't care. You know, it's my life, and I'm living it day to day, and I can say that I'm genuinely satisfied with so much of it. I'm so blessed, and I'm so grateful. But I lived for a while without a freaking oven, without a washer, without a dryer. Sometimes the water didn't work. I paid my bill, but sometimes my water didn't work. Sometimes the heater didn't work, and it was just cold water coming out. Like, electricity and power would go out. You guys, sacrifices, steps back in order to take leaps forward. But you also have to believe in yourself. And this is where your intrinsic motivation comes in, getting really clear on your why and what matters to you. If I didn't have that core belief, if I wasn't clear, right? If I didn't have this intention to get up day in and day out and do what was necessary, I wouldn't be here. My future self is not going to be living the reality that I am very hopeful for that it will be living if I just gave up, you know? But I want you to be successful, okay? You have to stop looking for the fast track and the linear path. It doesn't happen step by step in the way that you always plan. You have to be flexible. You have to be. It's just going to be so much harder for you if you're not. And I don't know anyone's path that's been easy, except for, you know, like the Nepo babies that have everything like handed to them. And, you know, I think that even has its own challenges. But my point is you need to take a look at where, you know, you're heading and how much ego is wrapped up in the steps, your process, and the direction. Okay. To just reassess and do not be ashamed to take some steps back. Okay, like seriously, don't. But that actually wraps up today's episode. I want you to get what you want to get, you know? I just don't want you to create this unnecessary struggle. And I really hope that this chat has helped you. Don't forget to just love yourself and be compassionate. Please subscribe as well to the podcast. I appreciate it. Share this episode with your besties. I'm out here, you Sending good vibes to you guys. As always, I want you to keep your dreams alive, keep your ego in check, and I love you. Bye.